Construction,
Oh, happy
sport,
days.
water.
Look at that. In partnership with, are we rolling, are we? We're rolling now.
We're rolling.
Everything we say is recorded and goes out live to everyone.
So watch yourselves.
Noted.
Don't say shit or bugger. Isn't that what they say? Was that Bo Selector? No, that was Little Britain, wasn't it?
Are we allowed to swear?
Dust anyone? Dust. We are allowed to
That's
swear. We are an open podcast with open language, colourful language, and wonderful people.
Amazing.
But we're here. We're live. Welcome. Tender trainers.
Thank you.
Eve, Rickie.
Thank you.
Both Lamekses, aren't you?
Lamekses.
But somebody
Yeah.
said today, actually, are they married? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're both Lamekses in my phone.
It's been like 12 years.
Weren't too sure if it was like a brand thing, like let's just go out there and pretend. Turns out you two don't actually know each other, and just like colleagues.
Husband and wife team will come across well.
Yeah, it's just as any kind of a Hollywood thing. They're not actually together; it's just a film. But, welcome
Thank you.
to the podcast of Construction Sport. I'm proud to announce there is something big news. We're in the top 100 podcasts
Get it out.
of something.
Apple Podcasts Alternative Health.
Apple Podcasts Alternative Health number
92.
92.
Get
Lovely
out.
job.
That is incredible.
Whatever that means.
Onwards and
We're about to be
upwards, eh?
famous. That's what it means, Rickie.
I don't know. He just went over and said, he's like, we're top 100. I was like, don't know what that means. And I was like, of what? I think you can categorise anything, can't you? It just takes it down. No, you can't. It's up there probably. Are we alongside Diary of a CEO and all those?
below.
Joe Rogan's
Yeah,
just above us, is he?
yeah.
Fair play. We're really going in the right direction.
Amazing.
But we're not the only podcast in town.
You're not.
There's not. There's another podcast across the table from me.
Hard hat heroines.
Hard Hat Heroines. We're partners in that, aren't we? Are we?
You're
What's
a
the role?
sponsor. You're a sponsor, Steve.
We are. We are
And,
part of this. I'm
you
excited
are,
to know.
Yep. And at the start, we say sponsored by Construction Sport. And we say it at the end. Is sometimes we give you a shout out as well. But,
Yes. I started
you
watching
haven't
the first
listened
one.
to the podcast yet.
No, I started listening to the first one.
Okay.
And
That's my one.
That is your one, all about you.
Yeah.
And it's good, isn't it?
Started listening, turned it off.
Are you enjoying it?
Loving
No,
it.
I didn't turn it off. No, I'm honestly, someone who rang me today. No, I was at my kids' at the kids' Christmas fair, and someone came up to me, Steve, how are you? And they messaged me 4 days ago and haven't got back to me. I was like, great, see your message. Oh, we'll get back. Rich Crooks, I'm sorry, pal. I saw you just now. We're getting back to him. They've got a plan their end actually with the media side, and we're going to help them big time.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's good.
exciting.
But
Cool.
literally, yeah, loads has gone on the last. I think your podcast must have come out when pretty much.
Really similar around the time the Construction Sport one did. Maybe within a few weeks, right?
You were a couple of weeks before, and I think it was the
So-
start of the Lost City campaign we're part of. And
Possibly.
it's just gone bonkers.
Amazing.
To say all that time on my hands, it's just been eaten up. But used to, you are the tender trainers.
We are.
Used to be Rev Consultants.
We used to be Rev Consultants, and then we rebranded to the Tender Trainers because when we started the business, we were estimating for subcontractors.
Mhm.
And then we rebranded to the Tender Trainers because we're purely training now.
Yep.
We probably might have to think about another rebrand because we do a lot of commercial training now. It's not just tendering. So
The commercial
Yeah.
trainers.
the commercial trainers doesn't have the same ring, does it?
We'll find it. Let the audience be the judges.
If anyone's got any great ideas, send them in.
So,
Pass on a postcard.
job roles. Rick, what is your job role within what you're doing? What is your background? Who are you? Come on, pal,
So-
sing it to us.
I'm a project manager by background. So 10 years in Australia working for the large main contractors there.
Yeah.
10 years here, close to 10 years here working for large main contractors
Yeah,
before we did the rev stuff. So,
cool.
yeah.
Eve is the
Quantity surveyor.
QS.
Yep. 10 years QSing for main contractors, tier ones, Mace, multiplex.
People won't be turning off when they hear QS. I promise we'll engage
Everyone
them.
hates QSs. QSs in health and safety, I think we're probably about.
But you're rebranding that. You're rebranding that, and you're showing the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, really. I think we have a bit of an image problem as QSs, don't we? Probably
It's
rightly
mad.
so.
Yeah, it kind of. But I think it's people need to be educated, doesn't they,
Mm.
and understand it, I suppose, because you guys are the button pushers when it comes to getting paid.
Yeah.
That's what I think people see it. Is that where it comes from? The little bit of animosity.
It comes from the way that construction works, and money's baked into construction. The way that we don't, there's never enough kind of profit on construction projects for main contractors, the way that they deal with subcontractors, the way that payments are dealt with. And then having QSs sat there going, right, I need to make money on this project. I need to be really careful about how much I'm paying out, the way that risk is dealt with. So it's kind of, it's QSs being put in a position where they've got to...
Because they're the ones that are having to control
Yeah.
the ship.
Yeah.
And
Commercially.
everybody wants to run wild. And they're the ones who are pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Project, so was it civils in the world of? What's your background in the project management, Rick?
I studied civil engineering, but I've worked
Yeah.
in building, civils, defence,
Yeah.
rail.
Oh, have you done a bit of all?
Yeah, so
Yeah, good stuff. Did you meet on site?
No.
no.
Rickie and I met when I was on holiday in Australia from New Zealand about 17 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Long
the
time,
date.
long time ago. And then I moved to Australia, moved to Sydney.
Just about but you that the photo. There's a photo. We'll pop it up of this with Is that the mining? Was you mining or something? What was that one? The big
Yeah,
civils
oil and
job?
gas.
Oil and gas.
Civils for oil and gas, yeah.
That's cool.
That was my first construction project.
Was it?
Yeah. So what happened was Rickie was working away, he was doing fly and fly out. I worked in hospitality and travel until I was about 27, 26 maybe, 26. After we got married at 25. And then Rickie was working away, it was his birthday, and I drove out to see him, it was like a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
He was flying in and out and went out with like his workmates and his boss and stuff, and his boss was like, I was studying commerce, I was majoring in accounting and business law, so I kind of was already, I was more than halfway through my degree. And Rickie's boss was like, Eve, come out and work with us. What are you doing?
Really? Yeah. Really?
We've got an admin role for you. Come on out. So I became a contract administrator. So, that's what happened. So basically came into construction through Rickie. That would be maybe 11
True.
plus 12 years
Recruiter
ago.
of the year.
Yeah.
There you go. Got 'em in.
Nepotism.
Was it a cool? Whereabouts in Australia was you in the oil and gas? Whereabouts?
So it was central Queensland, and we'll fly in, fly out of Brisbane. So
Really? Yeah.
yeah, and
Hot place.
it was hot, and in central Queensland in winter as well, gets down to -5, and you're up in the 20s by 10 a.m.
Really?
So, yeah.
I got a
It
very-
does the very big swings.
Yeah,
You're basically desert.
I've got a very good friend of mine, best pal of mine, in fact. He's in Canada and he gets to, not this time of year, probably last month, and he'll go to work and it'll be literally -10 and then be 25, 30 degrees. Like, that change in the seasons is like fucking horrific, like 40 degrees difference. I'm like, how do you live like?
Crazy.
Did you used to come home red? Was that the kind of place like that when you're up there? When people, I've heard this story in Australia, you come home and you have a shower and it's just like red sand coming off you.
The dirt is red out
Is
there.
it? Yeah.
It's not as red
Not
as
as
it
red
gets
as Western
in some
Australia,
places.
but
Is that what it is?
still-
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Isn't it?
But it's very like 40-degree days, pretty normal through summer, and the guys are in full PPE, like full sleeves, full trousers. Obviously, it's hot.
We're seeing a lot of comparisons to Australia over here. Have you seen it as well into the working methods? And I see it from a few angles. Payment methods that we've spoken about before briefly, and we see all that in the way they pay people.
Yeah.
Also, I've also seen it in terms of hours and the way hours of shifts over here. I recently went to Sizewell Power Station and done a little thing on LinkedIn with it, and the feedback I got from them was about how they are trialling the mining hours, what's worked in Australia, in the UK, potentially with the nuclear power station projects, because HS2 routines have potentially failed or not really worked. They want to trial something. So it was a method to what that was, and it was like 15 days on, 4 days off. And I think it was just a thought, and it's gone out there as a questionnaire.
Interesting.
But everything goes back. But then mental health in construction, the first thing I ever saw was Mates in Construction. I think it was an Australian charity. You got Mates in Mind over here now, but then you also had, I think, Mates in Construction Australia, and it was adopting that idea from over there to bring it over here. So the Aussies might be leading the way, and that is, the Aussie is yourself, isn't it, Rick?
Correct.
Kiwi yourself.
Yeah, don't get that one wrong.
No, I said that. I was nervous then. I'm not going to lie. Can you do the haka?
No.
More importantly,
I probably could if I was pressed.
prove it.
I'm not going to do it. There's no chance. But I'll tell you, growing up, I think it's different now, but when I was growing up, girls weren't really supposed to do the haka. Boys did the haka, girls did the singing.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
is that a thing? Is it?
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing. Maybe it was just the area that I grew up in, the school that I went to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Are you South Island or North Island? as they're
North
called?
Island, quite far north.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Whangarei, if anyone's in New
Whangarei.
Zealand are listening.
I've spent a lot of time with different people from different cultures and different worlds, and everyone I know who's travelled the world always says New Zealand's the best place in the world.
New Zealand's amazing.
It
Yeah.
is.
Can you talk to Rickie about this?
Yeah.
Trying to get him
Rickie,
to move back.
What would be amazing would just be, they just need project management over there, don't they? What a career and a lifestyle.
It's
it'd be.
amazing.
And then the Aussie. They're brilliant people, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Ask
So
Eve.
funny. Are they more honest than British people, would you say?
I think we're more blunt.
Blunt
We're
would
more-
be the word.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I think we say what we mean or say what we think.
Yeah. It's so good. I mean, we've got lots. I spent a lot of time in Austria skiing, but I worked and lived with Australians, South Africans, and Kiwis all that time. Do you know that one?
No, I didn't know that.
2011 and 2013, or it might have been 2010, 2012. So I've done 2 ski seasons.
And
I
who's your
worked in the
favourite?
backpackers. English. No.
Very diplomatic.
It was hilarious. There were so many because people travelled around Europe and then they would stop. They travel around Europe and then come to where we was in Austria, a little place called Kirchberg, was next to Kitzbühel, and they would just hang out for the winter and be like, "There's no point travelling for the winter. We'd just do a ski season whilst we're here and do like 3 months with us." And it was an absolute blast. But the guy who got me out there, my dad picked up in his London taxi driver, an Australian backpacker, and he said, "Why don't you go skiing in this place?" And he gave my dad this guy's number in 1999, and then we rung up. My dad was like, "Apparently we've been told to come to you. I'm going to bring my son." So I went, and then 10 years later, I was working with the guy who done the transfer driving.
No
Because he was like, I'm setting up my own
way.
business. Do you want to come? And then we used to go back there every year. And then went back there, and then was like, I want to come work in. He was like, "I'll give you a job tomorrow." So I went and worked down the bar and I met all these people. It was such a great life. But
So
it's sort of
fun.
life lessons and what
Yeah.
it teaches you. And have you travelled much of Europe? Did you come here to travel Europe and then got stuck in London, as many do?
Yeah, exactly.
Was
so
that the way?
yeah, so exactly. So I moved to Australia first time when I was 18, back to New Zealand, back to Australia. Then we came here together to London, and the plan was we were just gonna work hard, travel on the weekends, like really typical, few years, really typical thing that lots of Aussies and Kiwis come and do. Usually 2 years, but my grandfather was from Birmingham, so I had a 5-year visa.
You're a Brummie.
Brummie.
You're a Brummie. The Brummie hacker. We need to see the Brummie hacker.
So funny. I did my DNA and it was like literally
was
English
gonna ask that.
Birmingham.
Yeah. Really?
It can tell you like where your family's from. It's so interesting. But yeah, and then we actually ended up Rickie had a great aunt here who didn't have any other family. She was
Yeah.
really elderly, clearly needed care. So we ended up looking after her. She was in a care home. And we kind of kept trying to leave, and then we realised something would happen. She got into hospital, and we'd be like, we can't leave her.
Yeah.
So she just passed in the end of July. But that was a lot of the reason why we stayed.
Is it Bristol? Was she in Bristol?
She was in London, and when we moved to Bristol, we moved her with us
Gotcha.
to our home there. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So where was your family originally from then? They're all from
I'm a bit of
ancestry.
a mixed bag actually. This family was Latvian,
Oh really? Yeah. Amazing.
but I've also got Chinese grandfather and a German grandmother as well. So all my grandparents are different countries.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you got to represent one of them in something then. You got to find a way.
Yeah.
I've got
Whoever's winning whatever sport, that's what I'll go for.
yeah, definitely. I've got a German great nan, and then who's a Schneider in the German way, and then on the other side are Irish actually. Donegal in Ireland. What was like interesting because we done a tractor run this year to Donegal,
Oh,
and
cool.
Donegal was known and famous for what I didn't realise until a few years ago, the tunnelling tigers, who built a lot of the tunnels, dug a lot of tunnels for a lot of big rail projects and big projects around the world.
No
the
way.
tunnelling tigers, and I thought, that's funny that I've got in my line of work just happened to be on Crossrail at one point, and then we're getting into the constructing the groundwork side of
Yeah.
things. I was like, there might be
Like,
something there. It might have been meant
doing
to
your
be.
ancestors proud.
Yeah,
It's
flying
come
the
down through the
flag. And then we
genes.
done
Yeah.
but the guys done the tractor journey. I couldn't get it. We had a wedding this year that I could have come back for. I didn't get to Donegal, so and they were Sharkies and O'Neills was a surname, but one name was Sharky, and I think this year her maiden name was O'Neill. I think all that. So
There you go.
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a lot of Scottish from Glasgow. I think Miller with an A was my maiden name.
Millar.
Millar. Yeah,
That's cool.
and they 6 generations ago took the boat out to New Zealand. And there you go. Now
Not-
here I am.
Like Moana. Is it like Moana? Is it going across the heat?
I haven't actually watched it, but we were talking about that this week. Funny enough.
Incredible. I've not seen number 2 yet, but then we were talking about it. Apparently, it's quite aggressive, quite loud, and quite
Oh,
scary.
really?
But
So
yeah,
maybe
but
not
it's
one
still
for the
amazing.
kids.
I think this is yeah, just me. It's just me in the cinema on my own. I can't wait. But it's based around true story. I didn't
Yeah.
realise this. I didn't realise it's amazing stuff. I've
Yeah.
watched it the first one
Is
so much.
Is it about how? Is it about the immigration from Hawaii through to New Zealand?
That how you discover the islands and how
Yeah.
you take on that and see it. We were fortunate, so Alex, I didn't take him. It wasn't a business trip. I went to Hawaii in 2000 and my wife will kill me if I get this wrong. 9 years ago, we went there. We got engaged in Hawaii. It was cool. And it was a real Maori themed night. And I was like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I knew it was obviously an island in the Pacific, but then it all goes down to the genetics of the people who made it across there are the strong, big, tough people, isn't it? And that's when you look at the islanders and see why they are big, strong. And they're the ones who just was able to get on the boat and just row and row.
So interesting, yeah. And they had really good navigation by the stars, and excellent boat building, and that's how they were able to go. That's huge distances. If you look from Hawaii to New Zealand,
Crazy.
that is massive distances. It's really interesting. I've been watching NCIS Hawaii,
Yeah.
as you do, and there's a lot of words in Hawaiian that are very similar or the same in Māori.
Oh,
Like,
really? Yeah.
yeah, the word for woman is wahine, and it's the same in both, and that's why, it's just that shared cultural background. But it's interesting how it's so many generations ago.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is there a real culture? You get taught a lot about it in New Zealand.
yeah.
About the real culture.
Yeah, the cool thing about growing up in New Zealand when I was growing up was when we did Māori in school, so we did language lessons and also learned like cultural, different ways of culture. And it was cool. I never felt like we were being taught it as in, this is something that you need to know that's separate from you. I always felt that it was like, we're all New Zealanders.
Yeah,
This is what we need to know about our New Zealand culture kind of thing. Not that anyone was like, Eve, you're Māori. Like, I clearly wasn't. I'm very white. But but we were taught it as if it was part of us. And I really think there's something really beautiful in that, because
if you don't, and in 100 years' time, it fades away, doesn't it?
yeah,
It's so true to keep it prevalent. And
yeah, and to foster understanding. And my older brothers and sisters are part Māori, part Samoan, so I do have some Māori culture in my family as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, I think we all need a bit more of that. Not kind of, well, this is my culture, and I don't want you to look at it or take part in it. I think that if we can all understand, we can understand each other better if we can.
Donald Kerslake.
Who's that?
Donald Kerslake, Samoan rugby player.
Are you serious?
Back in the day. Yeah, 100%.
No way.
Yeah, Donald, I'm 99.9% sure I'm panicking in myself now. Al, please prove that to me that is true on the computer there. I'm just Donald.
And is he related? That's the big question.
We're basically related. Same style of rugby, same ability, same level. Yeah. It wasn't longer. I think he retired the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Donald Kerslake, Samoan Rugby Union player.
Donald Kerslake, Samoan Rugby Union
He was
player.
selected to represent Samoa at the 2007 Rugby World Cup.
2007 Rugby World Cup. Yep. Literally, brother.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I need to learn
Kerslake's
Samoan.
not a very common name, right?
It's not. My
So
dad
you
was
must
like,
be
there's a
related.
Kerslake. He must be a brother.
Yeah.
Must be. There's not many rugby players in the Kerslake family either. So I'm like,
There you go.
we're definitely. Is he a ground worker? Does he need a job? Constructor Sport Rugby Union will take him back on and take him out of retirement. Yeah, my dad come back. He's like, his name's Donald as well. It's like the most Samoan name. Is there many Donalds in Samoa?
I
He
don't
was born in
I
Christchurch.
don't know.
Born in Christchurch.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So cool, isn't it? But you
That's
see, there's a lot of
amazing.
them going over to American football as well, isn't it? They go to the States,
Yeah.
do they? Because of
Yeah,
just love
I guess
smashing
it's the
into each
build.
other.
Yeah, and there's also like Western Samoan and American Samoa, right? So I think maybe American Samoa more goes to the States, and Western Samoa is more
That's
connected
Dwayne
to New
Johnson's
Zealand.
world, isn't it?
Yeah,
The Rock.
exactly.
What a
Yeah.
man. What a man.
What a
Oh, dear.
beast.
Maui, should we call him? Yeah. So you guys, what took you into the work of construction in London then? I know you come over here, and then did you think we're going to pitch up and get a job here and do it?
Definitely. Yeah, we were like, let's go. Let's build some buildings in London. Cool.
And
Amazing.
What was it like as Australasians? Would you come under as an Australasian, technically? Or
Yeah.
seeing a Kiwi going into the construction site? How was getting the CSCS card system to you? I'd like to know this
Well,
one.
this was 9 years ago, so it was fine at the time, I thought. Now, disaster.
Yeah.
Have we talked about this? I can't get a CSCS card.
You can't?
I can get it as a labourer.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. I am the labourer. I've not got my wallet on me. I'm
Yeah.
a proud labourer.
Yeah.
So you're in the same. And you've
Yeah.
got a qualification.
Yeah, but because my degree was an Australian degree, it's commerce, I learned quantity surveying on the job, I learned accounting and law, like construction law and things, but because it's not a degree that ticks a box, even though I have 10 years plus, 11 years, 12 years, working on construction, site-based construction professional,
So
I don't tick the box.
your qualification can keep a business moving, can keep a business finances coming in,
Yeah.
can keep a business afloat,
Yeah.
can manage to tell jobs how to win jobs
Yeah.
and do this.
And
But
also,
that's not a qualification in the construction world. We don't need you.
exactly.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, crazy. And also like 11, 12 years of being based on site, walking around on construction sites, understanding health and safety to the level that I need to be safe on site. For my clipboard walking. I'm joking, I never had a clipboard.
Definitely don't. Pink fluffy one. A pink
And a disapproving look. No, definitely not.
and clean boots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Iron the PPE.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, so it's kind of frustrating that, but
So
yeah.
Rick, are you qualified to be in this industry? Or are you winging it as well?
I am, yeah.
Civil
I've
I've got
engineering
the
degree.
easy path. I have a civil engineering degree, so
In Australia,
in Australia, but
that transfers over.
it carries the same weight here. So
Are you
I'm all
part of
good.
the Institute of Chartered Civil Engineers?
No,
Anyone? No,
I don't have much
you're not there.
ambition for that. I think I'm fine where I am. So,
Yeah, that's gonna make no
yeah.
difference. Wow, so that's this is now we're in familiar territory. Me and the QS in the room are the same qualifications in
Yeah.
terms of construction. We're both labourers.
Yeah.
Green card?
So
Oh, you haven't got it yet.
I haven't got it right now.
I'm above
yeah,
you.
no,
I'm
that's
actually above
terrible.
you.
Hey?
I'm above you.
And I also figured, well, for now, anytime that I go on site, I'm going to be with someone. I'm going to be with a client, or so I'm not going to need it, am I? I'm just going to be an escorted visitor, so
It's crazy.
just can't be
isn't it?
bothered. Yeah.
I've done it. And not blowing my own trumpet, but I've had a construction business since 2012. Now we have construction support contracts. It's been going since January. With the charity, what represents the industry and fights the corner for plenty of us and the systems that are in place. And I have a labourer's card because that's the only one I can get. I had an SMS. I've got through Crossrail, huge Thames Water projects, working on multiple national highways projects with literally the fact that I've done my touchscreen test. I've done my touchscreen test and I've done my SMSTS and I got the trainee site manager card 10 years ago. But then because I didn't do the MVQ, I then couldn't renew that card. So they said, but if I just went and done my touchscreen CSCS test, I could then just go on site and say, yeah, check the online system. You'd be fine. It's not a quick process, is it? That MVQ for a black card or a gold card. And I was like, well, that's going to take me like a year. And it was, I think, at the time, over a year's worth of evidence they wanted. I was like, okay. And then I realised I just don't need it then. But it's only recently with a cut of jobs like you do now, I actually need to get now with a company. I now to physically need to show a card.
Yeah.
So I rung up I'd done my CSCS test and then I rung up the CSCS and they literally said, yeah. I actually went through them on the phone or on the online system, check what I need. And it took me to, this is the one you need. Bang, CSCS labourer. I was like, okay, I'll take that. I just want a card to give someone. And that's what I think people are now, aren't they? Just go,
Yeah.
here's a card, get me on. I'll crack on.
I used to have that visitor one, so I'd had to do the touchscreen
did,
test.
yeah.
I had the yellow visitor card, and then they phased it out. I had a red temporary card, so they took out the visitor card, no longer a thing. And then I was in this weird
Temporary?
in between space, and then I have to do like
MVQ.
a proper health and safety test for the labourer one.
Yeah, so you now have to do the labourer one. So you've got the initial touchscreen test,
Yeah,
and then you still have to spend the best part of a day
yeah,
online to then, and about 130 quid or something. I'm sure it was. They won't quote me on that. I'd be wrong, but to then get the labourer's card,
yeah.
and it is another day. But
It's
my fear
crazy.
of that is like the touchscreen test is 20 quid or whatever. It's not much. 12 quid might be. It's not
Yeah.
much, but it's for a construction worker. If he doesn't do, all right, they might do it the weekend or night to get that. But for some of them might do it in the day. You're losing a bit of money because you're not at work. But then you got to get most of the time get to there, pay for your parking, go to
Yeah.
it. But so that 12 quid probably is 50 quid overall. But now you have to do an online system, and then you do the online system, and that is like another. I'm sure it's in excess of 100 quid. I think it's 120 quid. and then you spend a day on it as well. Or there is the best, but I tried to skim through as quick as I could. I was like, just take me to the test, and I'll try and wing it. But you had to show that you'd gone through all of it, 100%. The training modules, what that you made it be about 4 or 5 hours, and that is a day's work for someone. By the time you start on it and you go through it, you ain't gonna go to work and be able to sit in the cafe and do that.
Yeah.
You've got to have a day off, so you're going to lose 120 quid. You're going to lose whatever your 100 plus whatever labour's on money as well. It's a bloody expensive, and I get it. You earn it back. You get your qualification. You're on site, but it's just like,
Yeah.
surely we're wondering why people aren't coming to this industry. But you're making, you're
Yeah.
putting red tape in the way and hurdles, aren't they?
Yeah, barriers, definitely.
We're seeing a lot of people. We are speaking to a lot of people who are just trying to keep away from site work now, and we just like take on stuff. A lot of the farming lads I know who'll be like, "Fuck that big time." Like the farming way doesn't tie in with the whole commercial way of working. When you just want to smash through stuff with tractors and diggers, there's a reason. I get it.
We need a bit of a. I grew up on a farm, so like
Did you?
get it. Yeah.
Can you drive a digger?
No.
Did you ever go?
I didn't know I was ever allowed. No, I can't drive a digger. But we only have a small farm anyway. It's like 50 acres.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So tender trainers, you're supporting? Tell us your audience and who you're supporting through it, basically.
Subcontractors.
Because before that, I'm going to interrupt. Then it is bloody interesting, and I like it. And there's not many out there doing what you're doing. So these guys, hold on, the millions will stop and listen now. I like it, and it's working. It helps us massively, and the people. There's a reason why you are doing so well.
Thanks.
Go on.
So I guess Tender Trainers was born out of a little bit of disillusionment around construction and the way things work, around money. So throughout our careers, just seeing, just like, we're not great at collaboration in construction. We're not kind of coming together to build in the way I guess that we should be.
Yeah.
And the way that I see this playing out in terms of like relationships, people getting paid with decent payment terms, paid on time, paid for the work that they've done, including variations, just kind of everything associated with that. When you think about mental health in construction, subcontract directors, they can be super challenged around that. Like on Monday, I had a call for like an hour with one of our clients, and a lot of that call was just needed to offload about 2 main contractors he's working for. Money's not paid, 6 figures, kind of that cash flow. Yeah, it's rough. So it's that frustration, I guess, around that. And then what we particularly have done, so we've had these kind of really decent main contractor experience, but towards the end, not feeling the love for it, feeling a little bit disillusioned working for main contractors and saying, okay, what can we do in our next phase that can help the whole industry? And not anti-main contractors, of course, by any stretch, but what's happening here and what can we do for the good? And so what we do is we teach subcontractors how to tender for work. We teach them how to understand their commercials, variations, claims, contracts, why they need to know things, what they need to do, templates, really quick video lessons, ongoing support, weekly calls, things like that. Just to basically, like, the overall vision is to try and shift the relationship around money between the parties and hopefully have subbies be able to like stand up for themselves a little bit more, come into an even fight because they really know their stuff and they've got really good like education, experience, they can speak the language, they can keep proper records. And there's something on both sides. You know, a lot of the time we're working with subcontractors who have never been taught how to commercially manage a project. So not necessarily sometimes aren't tendering quite right, aren't accounting for risk correctly, aren't, record keeping properly. And so when those things aren't happening right on subcontract side, then they can get very frustrated with main contract side when they're not getting paid, but actually they may not have done their parts of the puzzle as well. So just the relationship around money and that education piece is really what we're doing. Yeah,
and that is huge, Rick. We spoke about it in full length when we went through what contracts is, isn't it, when you've helped us with that. And that was, for me, it's so easy for a ground worker to go out on their own little business and go, what's my day rate? I don't know, so I'm going to do some landscaping or someone's house, £150 a day. Right, I'm going to go out £150 a day. They don't factor in your tools, your van, your fuel, the fact that you need to buy business cards. You need to now promote yourself in this way. Where and I'm not saying I had some idea, but the way that you obviously said, break it all down. What have you got? This is build all that into it. Where do you want to be in a year's time? That then equates to what your overall day rate really comes down to as a business, isn't it? And all your overheads all get factor in. But you must see that a lot of time, isn't it? You get quite a surprise with people who are like, Christ, I didn't realise I thought I was going to pay just £100 a day. It turns out that is actually 300 quid a day now.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be sustainable, we need to start charging that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to understand your numbers, don't you? You need to understand what things cost you. And it is surprising how many companies are just winging it with that
Yeah.
and not having a proper understanding. But, understand your numbers, understand how much you need to charge to get a profit that you need and to cover your overheads, etc.
Yeah.
It's important stuff in running a business, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I realised that when working with you then, because we delved into a little bit of the house bashing stuff on the win to help someone out for a few weeks. And I'm just like, if we're going to go in with what we need to cover our overheads, they were millions of miles off. And we haven't got overheads. There's not much to us. But the way that house bashing world was working, I was like, how are you surviving? And then I was like, there's a reason why you're going to a load of different recruiters, not recruiters we work with, but these companies who are just pushing people in there and then wondering why people don't turn up. And I was like, the money's so poor and the company's still trying to take their overheads out of it, that the person on the ground's getting paid so little that it's just not sustainable. And they end up going through thousands of people for 2 or 3 roles. It's just like, how is this working? But that is, I suppose, the biggest. Do you get a lot of pushback from people saying, I can't charge that? I feel that's too much.
There's definitely a balance, isn't there? And I think the first thing is understanding your numbers and understanding how much you need to charge. And if it's too high, then you can kind of work things out, right? You might be able to strip your overheads back and get it a bit more competitive and do things a bit quicker or do things a little bit different way. But you need to have the understanding. Yeah. It's the first step, isn't it?
Are you seeing people now, you might have seen this as well, if people are doing stuff just to entertain their turnover, to keep it moving rather than going for profit? Are people trying to go, shit, we're trying to go too high on this, scared of not winning the job, that they just want to keep the wheels moving?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And also, so this is why, if you really understand your numbers, you're in a good position, because we do see that. We see a lot of people who don't understand their profit per project. So they get to the end of the year and the accountant will tell them if they've made profit, but they don't know which projects it was on. They haven't had time to correct it. You should know really, as the project is ongoing, what's happening, so you can put in claims if you need to, or, so there's a lot of just vagueness. And then that all starts at tender stage where, people are going, well, I just need to win the work. So I need to keep my guys going. I just need to get it in.
Yeah.
And that can be really dangerous, actually, because you can override your gut instinct about things too. The number of conversations I've had with people where they've taken on work and they've said, I had a bad feeling about it. I knew this wasn't going to go well. I had some red flags, but I took it on because I need to keep the guys going. So there's that kind of happens too. And then the other thing that happens around, if you do know your numbers on the flip side, my favorite pieces of feedback are when I speak with clients and they say, I now understand my numbers so well, Eve, that I was sitting in a client meeting last week around a tender and they said, can you drop it, 20 grand so we can get the work? And I could say to them, I can drop it X amount, because I knew my numbers so well and I could offer them, 5 grand, and I knew I was still sweet because I could see perfectly where we sat. In the past, I wouldn't have known. I maybe would have just said yes. But not that I'm advocating that we should cut necessarily. Sometimes there is a bit of negotiation at tender stage, but that kind of just really fully having that grasp, I think, is we're lacking it, and it leaves construction companies, it leaves subcontractors really vulnerable.
It's knowing, isn't it? And being confident enough so I can cut it, but you're going to lose quality as well at the same time, isn't it? You're going to get less of a product. Or, no, I can't cut anything, but I can take out, I can take out this element here. I can reduce a spec here. It's just kind of having a grasp on it. I think what happens is a lot of, we work with subcontractors mainly turning over up to £10 million within our programs, and then we work one-to-one £10 million plus turnover. And the main guys that we're working with, they've come off the tools, they've done their apprenticeship, got a lot of get up and go out, start a construction company, and then no one through that process, through apprenticeship or through any part of that process, has sat them down and said, this is how you need to price work, this is how you need to think about overheads, this is profit. The actual real key thing that we see get lost so much in the mix is how you deal with risk. Most subcontractors don't know the risk that they're taking on in the contract. And your client, developer, is rolling risk down to the main contractor is rolling it down to subcontractor. Subcontractors don't always read the contract, they don't always know what risk they're taking on. And so it's just like a timepiece, or they may feel a lot of trust with the company that they're working with. So they haven't necessarily priced that risk in or dealt with it appropriately. And not to scaremonger, because that's never our style, but that's the biggest thing that we worry about. And that's a huge part of what we teach is what risks are there and how can you deal with it? Because you can always manage it. Yeah, we've just done so recently. You guys might not know about this actually. we took a little job, and Russell helps out massively. He's been brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Russell
so
Rack
good.
from Subport, shout out.
Yeah, big time. Been brilliant. But we had a job, and we took on just a few days here and there, They wanted little bits and bobs given to us. So brilliant.
Awesome.
And then there was one job. I won't go into the details of the names and project numbers. We still got some stuff to do with them, but it was all fine. It's down to us. But can you just do this? Can you just do that? Give us a price for this. Give us a price for that. We go in there, big machine, bang something with the machine, hit something, only a piece of steel, and it bends it. And now we're liable for that. But it was like a bit of a mismanagement beforehand that job was in that state, and we've took it on knowing that the conditions were tight and that also the price is tight, and we wanted to give them a fair price. We've done it. Completely our cog up, 100%. And we had to go for insurance now to pay for this piece of steel because it's highly important of what it was. But you just thought, shit. And I do, as soon as we done it and damaged it, our driver was like, am I sacked? And I was like, no. I was like, we win something. Like, to be honest, I tapped it in the morning myself as well in the machine. And I was like, it just happens. And we're working in tight circumstances. And I was like, we're just the bottom of the fucking pecking order here. I'm like, we've just got to take it on the chin. I've got no defence at all. And I was like, we just got to take it. You know, I want to go back and say, oh, this is an error because if you've actually managed it properly, or this was different at this stage, then the job wouldn't have been in specifics. But the actual truth of it was, I took it on in that position, and it was, anything goes wrong, it's on my shoulders. I've got no defence. And it's what it was. So I just said, yeah, don't worry, send us over the bill. We'll forward it onto insurance, and we'd have to cover that. But we've also got a factor in now that our premium will go up or whatever, and we'll get hit in some way because we took our insurance out that month before, and then within a month we're like, can we have a claim here, please? But you're just like, fuck. But that is what you are when you're at the bottom of it, isn't it? You know, I suppose that's when conflict can come, can't it? And we had no defence, and I got that, and I wasn't going to sit there and ruin my chances of any future work by being a dick about it. I'm just going to be like, yeah, fuck. I find that's probably where my commercial head's not as professional, when sometimes my moral compass can just go, yeah, that was my fault. But then some people, but if you have that argument, that can be deadly, can't it? If someone's in a real corporate, commercial position, and then you're like, and it's don't go too soon at what you're saying because they will fuck you for it, basically.
Sometimes a good way to approach that is to see if you can work with them on any kind of negotiation. Like sometimes approach it, look, I'll put my hands out, we've made a mistake here, but also the site was really tight, and we've taken this on to help you out. Like, is there anything you can do on it?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not all or nothing. Maybe you can meet somewhere.
There was a bit of that.
Had,
there was good actually. They'll deal direct with the actual the supplier.
Oh, that's
doing
good.
It. Yeah. So I was like, to Russell said they might hit you with management fees, consultant fees, main contractor fees. So I was like, shit, we're like in dodgy territory there.
Yeah.
But again, we're insured, so it's fine. Yeah. I was like, I would prefer on behalf of my insurer for that figure to be as low as we can get it because I don't want to be hammered for this.
Yeah.
And, no, but it's all fine. But then now that it's a real wake up call to me and my team. We are people put on site as a small company that operate big machines. Yeah. And with big machines, you can make big problems. And we have to, even permits to dig anything. We put a bucket in the ground. Do you find it as well, the QS side? So obviously it's not in the civil side, but you might see a rig, but it's harder to price up a civil's job going underground than putting stuff above ground because you just don't know what you're going into. This is where you stick up for me in my industry and go my side and go, you boys have...
Well, I'm going to tell you the main thing, NEC contracts, which would be what you generally on, just make sure that the below ground obstructions clause is in the contract, okay?
Below ground obstructions clause. This is new to me. Okay. And I should know this.
Maybe you and I should do a contract session.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So below ground obstruction. So some contracts will. So with any clause, right, you can have. So with NEC, you have Z clauses at the back, which is amendments to the contract. But standardly in the NEC contract, one of the variation clauses is below ground obstructions. So that means that if there are below ground obstructions that unexpected, say you couldn't see them, you know, that they weren't apparent on the initial drawings, the initial investigations that you received, then you can come back and claim for that. Didn't expect this underneath the ground. Here's the claim for the additional work. That, as you know, can go through all the way to things like, you know, very ancient things that are found in the ground. Archaeologists having to stand there and like watch a dig, or so.
Well, it would stand a machine down that you have to pay for months, or potentially months, isn't it?
I worked on one project when I was working for Clancy Docker, a civils firm.
Yeah, Clancy's.
Yeah, so for UKPN, and there was an 8th century sarcophagus that had been found, not by us, but previously. And an archaeologist had to watch the whole, we were just running in some cable, had to watch the whole dig. So you can imagine how slow, it's like watching brief. But so basically any of that stuff that's then found, whether it's chemicals or toxins or large, obstructions, whatever's there, just make sure that those clauses are in the contract because they can be excluded. If they're excluded, it's your risk. And then I'd expect you to be pricing something extra in or putting something extra in the program around that so that you're kind of covered at least a bit if anything happens. But most of all, just try and get it in the contract to make sure that clause is in there.
Yeah, it's scary. It is mad, isn't it? We're on a job now and there was no buried services apparently in the ground. And we looked at it, no, and then come across gas straight away. It was like, thank you, cheers for that. And then I spoke to a friend last week and he had asked to go in and dig. It was literally 400 mil of concrete out. Can you just come in and break all this out? And it was specified just break out the concrete and dispose of. And it was like fucking 1,500, 800 mil deep of concrete. And they were like, we've only priced 300 mil. And they were like, well, no, but on the paperwork it says you've priced to take away break out the hardcore and get rid of it. It's not my fault. You've got the measurements wrong. And it's just like, and then what do you do? You get mobilised, you're on site, you're cracking on.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk away and piss your client off. But it's having a reasonable relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, and it's understanding who's holding that risk. Yeah. And then if you're holding it, are you mitigating it or how are you dealing with it?
That's why tender stage is so important as well. Yeah, because if you at tender stage, you should be figuring out what you're really accountable for. If risk arises, if something happens that I didn't expect, am I going to have to pay for it or can I put a claim in? And if you know that, you should be proceeding accordingly in the way that you tender. And then our whole thing is getting to final account with profit and pocket, right? That's the whole thing. And relationship intact as well. Relationship's so key. So it's both. I think it's having a good relationship and it's having sound contractual experience and it's knowing which one to use when. Those two are always playing in tandem. Yeah,
for sure. And you two obviously both different parts of the industry coming together. And we said this on previous podcasts. I've got with Craig, who I work with as well. We're both on the groundwork side, but we've both got very different things we're good at. It works perfectly. And I think there's so much, in life when you think, we're both just very good at football. That means if we play together, we're really good at football. We'll win everything. But it shows the team is made up of different abilities, isn't it? And that's when you can actually smash it, basically. And that is why you guys, I suppose in this world of uncertainty as well, would hopefully drive your business going forward as well, wasn't it? And obviously it is. And that's why you are doing so well, where you can literally just go, all these companies, why are companies going bust at the moment? Because they're not set up right, isn't it? They're all pricing things wrong, and they need to come to you guys. Is what we're saying, especially.
Yeah, but get it priced right, and then track it. You got to track everything through the project. You got to know what's happening. You got to have really strong records, great records, and then you got to be able to say, I need to put a variation in here because something's happened that wasn't part of my price, and I've looked at the contract, and I'm not accountable for it. And then make sure you're getting through to final account with profit. And then learn your lessons and then go again. Because if you're not doing that each time, you're going to start to have a problem. And I think there's definitely a lot of winging it and a lot of finger in the air and hope everything works out. You win some, you lose some, which is true as well. But I think there's a lot of controls that can come in that can kind of really help that. But yeah, we're a good team. We're quite different people as well. And I think that's helpful.
Can you turn it off? Literally.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Sitting there watching TV. Yeah. 5 o'clock comes in the box. Hi, darling. How was your day?
Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Just woke up, Rickie. I just had the best idea for the business.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, so it literally goes. But that's the way it is, I suppose. That's the entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
And because you care, because you give a shit. So, that's where you start thinking about things.
Exactly.
Care, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to switch off.
So
You'd understand.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the button does not switch off, does it? It's tough, but it's managing that, and that's a big thing, isn't it? Even spoke to a very good friend of mine today, and he's like, I'm actually stepping away for a few weeks from work. Come January, his wife goes back to work after maternity leave. And, he was like, we're in a fortunate position where I'm just pulling away for 4 or 5 weeks and just going to juggle, sit back and just think, where do I go? Because he's like, he's not had anything in the last 18 months. He's had a few things going on. He's like, I've not progressed. I've not processed what's been going on at all. And it's coming out now negatively to people. And he's like, 100%. I need to know. And that's the mental health side, isn't it? Of knowing. So you guys, I think we actually spoke, didn't we, originally, when you got in touch? I was driving down the A1 into London when you rang me the first time. I'll always remember the phone call. You said, I don't know what you're doing, but sign me up.
I was just remembering this today to Rickie because I remember it so clearly as well
Yeah.
because we were in our flat in Red Hill at that point in Surrey, and I was just remember like walking around like chatting to you on the phone in the flat, and I was just like, this is amazing. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
I'm on board. Like, let's go.
He was like, sign me up. I was like, we've got a membership. It's coming. I'll let you know. And then, like, I'm still saying that now. But it's coming. It's coming. But yeah, I'm proud to say we've got a lady coming on board next week to manage the membership,
Awesome.
events management, and membership management.
That's awesome.
And a number of other hats that I'm just going help. And you've seen the proposal stuff that's been sent over to us. So yeah, you've been with us for the last couple of years.
2021 maybe, I think.
Was
that
it
phone call?
2021?
I think
Was it really?
Because that's the year that we moved into that flat,
It
and
would
I
have
feel
been,
like
wouldn't
it
it?
must have been around there. Yeah.
Yeah, because you come to your golf days. I think when
Yeah.
you come to Martin was there, wasn't he? Martin, poor old Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, he passed away.
Yeah,
We
he's
had a couple of
a
those golf
lovely
days.
bloke.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a shame. Was it such a we had a real good crack, didn't we? A couple
Yeah.
of those golf days.
Rick-
It was funny.
You were in one of his you were in his
Ricky took
Yeah,
his
we
jeans
were
on the
in the
golf day.
same group the first time
Yeah.
the
lovely
golf day
bloke.
for construction. Sport.
Yeah, I remember because you pulled up. Literally pulled up. You come on in your denim jeans on the golf day, and was like,
Yeah.
And no clubs.
Yeah, where do I hire the clubs? It's like,
But do you know what? In Australia, when you go to a golf course, you can hire clubs everywhere.
yeah. It's so
Why
funny.
can't you do that here?
Yeah. We just
And I
don't
bought
know.
Rickie for Christmas. I think last year I bought him like golf
Is it?
gear. I was
Yeah,
like, I
it's-
think you got to
it's
get
superb.
yourself
She's
organised.
embarrassed by me. You know?
Yeah, we could have given you a set of
I
left
said,
handers.
Rickie, you're representing the business when you go to golf days. You
There
got
you
to
go.
step your game up a
gonna
little
turn
bit.
up, literally, like Tiger Woods next week, just literally fully
No,
prim.
I went out and bought the exact same shirt you have.
Twins.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, don't fool me as a replica. You know, I'm no good at all. But it's been
And
good.
we've
So,
done
yeah,
some tracks.
how has your journey been with construction sport from an outsider looking in? Or being,
Oh.
not that you've been part of it. don't get me wrong.
Amazing. I think, from when we first chatted, like, I think what's always come across to me is your genuine passion. You really care.
Yeah.
You don't care if you ruffle a few feathers.
It's been known.
But you really care. You really care about the people on the ground. You really care about
I
the
like to
experience.
think the passion outweighs the performance for pissing people off. That's kind of my thing. And if people
Yeah.
go, he's pissed off loads of people. He's really passionate.
Yeah.
So, does that eradicate the fact that? No, I don't offend people too much, do I?
No, I don't.
But I'm passionate. That's
But,
all
well,
it is.
what I'd say is you're not scared. You're not towing the line.
No.
You're
That's
not
the
scared to
thing.
say what needs to be said around mental health and construction,
Well,
around suicide and construction.
There's nothing worse in life, I think, for lessons for every. I like to think it might not be a good lesson for people, but don't go home going, I wish I said that. There's nothing worse than think, shit, I wish I said that.
Yeah.
It's too late now. I've missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever come bad if someone goes, fucking shouldn't have said that. It's like, no, I think there is obviously something people shouldn't say. Don't get me wrong. Some very bad stuff. But there's always like, just if you feel it, go with it, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if it's there, like if you think I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, that was a tongue-in-cheek comment. I get
Yeah.
that. But when something's like this subject and it's like it's there, you're like,
Well,
Yeah.
And I also believe there's a lot
because
of
you're
people.
good at that, and you do publicly
Thanks.
as well. I've seen that. You will literally go, no, I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where.
I think we both have a bit of a social justice
Yeah.
lean. We're like, hang on, this is wrong. Like, I know. Like,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what, the reason I love construction sport, from the first time that we spoke, that I was like, yes, I'm in. I've had a few colleagues who've passed due to suicide in construction. No one I've been super close to, but three
Yeah.
people that have been on projects that I've worked on. And I've seen it brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of
In
people
the UK?
in the UK.
Yeah.
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 And I think there's a lot of people who are kind of committed to the status quo. Like, let's just push on. We don't want to maybe think too much about things that might impact productivity. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want to do anything that might
No.
rock the boat. We don't want to do anything that might impact our bottom line. Even though, if people have great mental health, it's going to be great for productivity and
Man.
great for projects.
Because it's a HSE, it's not a HSE issue for the company. It's
Yeah.
not a really health and safety issue. Then
Yeah.
it's no one's real issue.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
should
family
be a financial issue. It should be
Yeah.
a money issue. It should be.
issue. It's a
It could be, and that's a way that
It
companies
could
could
be,
care about it.
yeah.
I know that it's deeper than that it's people's lives, and that's what we should care about. But there is a money component that I believe we could look at.
And that's from a QS as well. We
Yeah.
like this. And that is literally that, isn't it? And we see it. Literally, we are seeing it. One last week, I had the first case on the phone when someone's just said to me, I've had enough. I've know the tree. I'm going. And it was
Yeah.
literally, as honest and blunt as that last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was only because I then turned around and said to him, he said he was on his own. I've got no one. I said, well, you've got me. You've got the person who brought you into the equation.
Yeah.
And he went, what do you mean, David? No, I've got. I went. The guy who brought us together is his best mate, and he's also a very close colleague of mine.
Yeah.
And I said, before you do anything, I said, remember, you've brought me right into the fucking middle of this, and your best mate as well. And I felt him literally go, think a bit different then.
Yeah.
And he's okay now. And we offered help, support. We got a crisis team in the background that we put him onto, but
Awesome.
he stepped away. He disappeared for a few days. And his mate was like, maybe that was just a cry to get it out his system and have that real bad week.
Yeah.
But this week he's back. He's apologised to his mate and literally said that blah blah blah. And we've said that we're here if you need us. But that was the first time last week I was like, shit, this is raw now and this is real. And we've got things in place as crisis support now.
That's amazing.
Because I'm not qualified to be dealing with these calls day in, day out. I don't mind taking one every now and then.
But it's hard too. It's really hard. And that's a lot of what I've seen too is like one thing that I hear in construction and I don't agree with is people say, oh, it's the men. They just need to talk to each other. It's because men don't talk. And I don't fully agree with that. I think that sometimes men do try and talk to each other and the other man doesn't know how to receive it or what to say back. So I don't think, and I think also we've got some structural inequality. We've got problems. We've got long working hours. We've got people driving super long, working away, relationship impact. And then we say, oh, the men just need to talk to each other. How about we make sure that work
we have literally made it, and we said it many times now, it's not educate the man on how to help his mental health, educate the man on how to help his men, his mates, and ladies as well, but more so the men who don't talk. But it's like, I will not look after myself as much as I should, but I would do everything for my mates and my family. Yeah. Like, I think it talks to lots of people in life. You put yourself out above and beyond to make sure the people around are happy. Yeah. And then it takes a lot more to dig deeper and go, have I actually looked after myself here? And people always forget about yourself. And I think men in particular, it's fucking extreme on that because they will literally just be dead and buried and be skint and have no money and just stressing themselves out. But they go, it doesn't matter, the family are provided for, they're happy. And that is where we see this dangerous. And as a society, we're not open enough to allowing men to be tired, be vulnerable, be sad. Yeah. We're really not open to that. No. And I think that when men can't, when they just feel, I just have to continue no matter what, I just have to work super hard, I can't feel sad. When they're shutting those things down in themselves, they can't receive it from their friends as well because they just go, mate, like, this is what it is, this is life, just crack on. And so we're not, I don't think we're so good at like allowing space for. And I keep on saying this, and this is probably what's bugged me for years. And I get it, and I can be critical sometimes, every now and then. But like, we've invested millions and millions and millions of pounds into getting men to talk. And like, you're doing something what genetically is inhumane to men. We just don't talk, do we? And you can provide an opportunity for people to do it by having a kickabout, going for a walk, playing golf, do this. And then men will go, shit, I'm not on my... People get like-minded, shall we say. Women do as well. And that's why women chat so well, don't they? They can chat, and it's brilliant. But that's why I think that genetically, whether the problem is in construction, or not in construction, society, isn't it, men mental health side? But from what yous are doing, though, Eve, at the Hard Hat Heroines, is all about embracing these ladies that are coming into construction. But it's not even just about ladies, it's about general just people getting into the world. Explain this through the Hard Hat Heroines.
It's
Come
Hard
on,
Hat Heroines.
This is your pod.
It's definitely about the ladies. There's no Hard Hat Heroes.
It's all about the heroines. It's all the heroines. Fantastic.
So that was
I'm coming on as a guest.
We'll have to speak with Sarah about that. Are you going to wear a wig?
It's been known. It's been known.
I'm not surprised.
On a Saturday after rugby, after 3 o'clock.
We could maybe do a special guest edition. I'll speak with Sarah, my co-host, and maybe we could have Hard Hat Heroes for just one.
No, I'm coming on as Stephanie.
There's no, so Hard Hat Heroines was born because myself and Sarah from Simterra, Sarah Crawley, I call her Sarah from Simterra, which is her company. But
Sarah Simterra.
It's Sarah Simterra, yeah. It's catchy, right?
South American lady.
Not at all.
Listen up.
No, you've met Sarah.
No, but Sarah Simterra. Name, if her surname was Simterra.
That would be South American.
That sounds Sarah Simterra.
It does. Yeah.
She was in Narcos.
Oh, was she?
No.
Believe anything. so easily.
So the two of you.
But yeah, so
leading it.
we had a lot of conversations around like this kind of frustration that we had in construction, which is that sometimes when we're talking about women in construction, we're talking about the problems. We're talking about the DEI stuff. We're talking about not being able to find the toilet key or PPE that's too large, and all of this stuff really matters and it's important. We really wanted to have a space that was, what we were lacking was the stories from women in construction that really resonated with us. Like, we wanted to see the really cool shit women in construction were doing. We wanted to hear about the awesome projects they're working on, the solutions they're bringing into construction, the just like, you know, amazing work that they're doing, the cool experiences, the real, you know this yourself. When we work in construction, it can, especially if you've done things like work away, like Rickie and I have, fly in, fly out, if you're working offshore, all these types of things, you get a real family bond with the people that you're working with, and you get really close with them. And just that kind of like, it's just such a cool industry. And I think if all we're ever talking about is, you know, the fact that I can never find the toilet key and I'm wearing PPE that makes me look like I'm walking around in my dad's clothes, which is true, and it's annoying, and these things need to be dealt with, but it's not taking away from, and I want to be careful about how I say this because it is a really important conversation, but I want it to sit alongside the stories of the women who are just doing construction and just amazing professionals. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I'm liking this a lot because in my head, there's something kind of doesn't sit right with me. I think sack it all off. All the women in construction stuff. How dangerous is that? Sack off diversity in construction. Sack off equal. Let's just sack it all off and let's do. He's terrified now. Just have an exhibition where the stands and the panel talks are construction related panels, and guess what? It's full up with everybody, and it's just they're involved in that topic.
Yeah,
I've gone to a few things recently where it's like the diversity inclusion panel, and they've got 3 women and a disabled man on there. I'm like, you've clearly just looked at the address book and gone, let's get that person that fits that fits that. Why not just have this is? And so when people come in from the outside world can go, this is construction. These people are accepted as just construction.
That's what I want. I think that's the ideal world.
When you said that, it was said to me then. That's kind of.
I think that's the ideal world, and I think what happens is we don't have great diversity and inclusion yet. We do have problems around that in construction, so we're not really there yet. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think what I would like to do, I want to be on those panel discussions, on those podcasts. I want to be Eve, who knows about construction, who cares about money in construction. Let's talk to her about this. I don't ever want to be in those positions because let's get another woman on the panel. Like, I hate the idea of that. Yeah. Get me on there because I have something to share, because you like the way I'm going to share it.
The QA.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've had it before as well, and so it comes to it like, I don't care who you are, what you are, where you've come from. Yeah. If you're willing to sit there and help me out and do something with me, then perfect. And I think that's the way we just need to be, isn't it?
I know this about you because we've done heaps of, we know each other, fairly well through construction sport over the years and different events that we've caught up at. I've done the marathon tracks together. And the way that you speak to the labourer is the same way that you speak to the CEO. The way that you speak to me is the same way that you speak to Rickie. I never have felt any difference from you in the way that you approach people. But not everyone's like that. You know that, Steve?
We're not all perfect. Yeah, but that's the annoying thing, isn't it? Yeah, and that is literally,
and that's what we need to fix. That's why DEI exists, really, is to try and fix that. But where I came to with it, and I think where Sarah, I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I think she'd be happy for me to say this, is I think where we came to it with is what's the best thing we can do for women in construction? We can highlight their stories. We can show how they're an awesome engineer, they're an amazing geotechnical engineer, they're an awesome design manager, they're a project director, which is all kind of what we've had on the podcast so far. Let's show these women and talk about their stories and talk about their contributions to construction. That's the best thing we can do for women in construction. For these women, elevating them, for women who might want to come into the industry, for women who are in the industry so they can see themselves reflected. That's the work that we really feel quite passionate about.
There was one, and I'll quote it actually, Chris Evans, part of the Rugby Centurions, who's become a good friend over the years, and we've done a lot with them. It's been brilliant. But his young daughter, I think I'm getting this right from a post, apologies if it's wrong, but I'm going to go with it. His daughter, they've gone away the other week, and he's gone to buy her a book, literally about, because she's up and coming golfer, doing fantastic, really doing well. And he wanted to buy a book on sporting heroes for her, and literally all the sporting books were just like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Johnny Wilkinson. There was like a lot of books there, not many women. So there's obviously this there is an issue there. What does need to be addressed to a certain degree, isn't it? And he was like, I just want to buy my daughter an inspirational book on women. We get these little books now, fantastic little book, Little Dreams. I'll get it wrong. And it's all about different people in the world. And there's a great balance in people.
That's
people
so cool.
all over. My boy loves them. We've got lined up from literally, you've got some of Stephen Hawkins, and then you've got David Attenborough, and then you've got some of Lady Diana being there. And there's these different women who've just stood up over the years, different guys, different anything. Just people have stood up just because of who they are, not so much what they are, but who they are and what they stood up for. I think that's the world you just need to be in.
That's the ideal world, and that's all I want. If I walk onto a construction project and I'm site based and I'm a commercial manager on the project, I just want people to look at me and talk to me the same way that they talk to the guys.
Yeah.
Not maybe exactly the same way. Let's be clear, that might not go well.
Yeah, definitely.
But the same level of respect, the same level of kind of. I've often found that I feel that there's a steeper learning curve to people getting used to me and that I'm actually good at my job. That can still happen because historically we're just in an industry that is very male dominated, that we're maybe not always as used to seeing women in like leadership roles, and that that it's just kind of still changing, that we still have that. And I think that's all that I want. I think you've got that baked into who you are, but that's not the norm.
and again, now you're saying it, I'm thinking back to when my tough times in construction was when I became a supervisor, because I was a ground worker who just had major stomach surgery that then couldn't operate as a fucking ground worker. So and I just had so happened to be working with a supportive enough company that said, we'll let you supervise on site and we get you for your triple STS. And I become that. And I had to really freaking prove why I was there, because if I didn't have a job. I was only at home with my mum and dad, no overheads, so I was kind of covered apart from a £40 phone bill. And then but I had to they were like, you're the supervisor walking around at the age of 21 thinking that you know the place. And I was like, that's not me. I'm actually Steve, the guy who just desperately wants to dig a hole, but I'm not allowed to fucking be on the tools. And I realised I was like, these guys are really angry straight away because they don't like this senior management. Yeah. And then one of the guys just turned out and said, we don't even get any, hence the water campaign. Actually. Here's like this, we don't get water on site at the moment. There's no access to water on this site whatsoever. And I was like, so we went to the supermarket with loads of bottles of water then. This is 12 years ago now, 10 years ago. So when it's done it, and then one of the guys, then I think it was a sunny day, and I literally said to the boss, can I go and buy a load of ice creams? There's more about 15, 20 of us on site. Bought ice creams for everyone. And it went down an absolute storm. And so I was like, I'm winning these guys respect over by literally the most pettiest little things. Yeah. And then one of the guys had really pissed off because he was missing an hour of overtime from the week before. So I went into the office and I said to him, he's not been paid an hour from last week. They paid him. I was like, he's bestest mate. And suddenly I was like, all these guys like Steve Fake. So that's I think what's led to today basically. Like when you stand up for these people, fight a corner that they're not happy to fight of themselves, but they desperately need it fought for. Then you start to win the respect, and then it starts to go. Yeah. And I imagine from a female's perspective as well, it's the same. Yeah. So you shouldn't have to, and even me as that person shouldn't go, why do I have to prove myself?
Because you're young as well. So because I know Rickie had a similar experience. He's got baby face. He turns 40 next year. You know, he still looks like a baby, but he definitely had that same experience with needing to really prove yourself.
CSCS card, and he can prove himself. It's got it all.
Exactly. But it's kind of gutting to hear you say that though too, because those basic things of like water, a few ice creams, maybe that's a little bit extra, and getting paid your hours. And that being the things that have so endeared you, and yet that should be standard.
We've had it now. We've said to the guys about going out, and we've struggled getting a night when everyone can go out, and we want to go out and pay for the whole night and take the lads out and enjoy ourselves. Yeah, our team this is, so we'll say lads, and literally, and it's got to a point where like, no, we can't get a date, and then they've just gone, just buy us breakfast on Friday, and that's literally all, like they're massively thankful for you. Like, actually, we spoke to James Lewis on a podcast a few weeks ago, and he said the same. He's like, when you actually get into the nitty gritty of your business and find out what people actually want, you'd be quite surprised that it's not actually that much. Like,
it's respect.
Money isn't always number one. That's crazy. And
just treat me like a human.
Just like just like to be told maybe at 3 o'clock you can get off and go and pick the kids up today. And that is a huge one. Construction don't see that, and I get that. But we had one yesterday actually. One that said that 10:40 today I've got a doctor's appointment. He's been a bit unwell lately. 10:40, could you mind if I slip off to the doctor's? Like, yeah, it's fine. So, but in a few weeks' time, when concrete comes at 4 o'clock, don't fucking know. But it swings around. A little
give and take. Yeah, exactly.
100%. And it is about give and take. So you guys here, in London? Is it public knowledge about you going away? You're going to be stepping away a little bit?
Yeah.
You're working remotely?
Yeah.
Can I say this? We haven't agreed this off
Yes.
camera, and am I throwing you under the bus?
No, it's good. It's all
So you're
good.
going, bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Bon
Au
voyage.
revoir.
Alex will go, to that. But,
Alex can speak French. We
Yeah.
can't yet.
Yeah.
Very well.
Alex will be the next host on this podcast for the next episode when he come in. So yeah, because this world has enabled us to work remotely, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? Not so much myself, and I've got to dig a hole and save the industry.
Obviously.
But as your positions and the beauty of the job,
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving to France in 1 week from today. The countdown is
that's why we had
on.
to get you in tonight, didn't we? Like, get you
Yeah, I'm like, we've got to do it because we're
in
going.
before the French take
Yeah,
you.
exactly. We're
Yeah.
going to be in the Pyrenees. Pretty much all of our clients are online
Yeah.
or will quite easily convert. So we actually set the business up remotely so we could have the option to live
Yeah.
overseas if we chose to. So mountains, thermal baths, ski resort, 20 minutes away, a couple of hours from world-class surf,
Sounds fucking awful.
mountains.
When you could be in London with heavy pollution and parking fines every freaking where you turn. I don't know why you're going. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. No.
But
we have had an amazing time in the UK. It's been incredible. Last couple of years we've been in Bristol.
yeah.
We're in London for
What's
7
Bristol
years.
like?
Bristol's the best. Have you not been?
Never been.
Oh my goodness.
Cider drinkers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's cider. Lots of street art. Very arty, chill, alternative, quite fun.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that we need to do a road trip down to Bristol. We'll do Bristol before we go to Land's End next year.
Awesome.
We're going to do a road trip. We don't have to join Groats, but we can
Yeah.
kind of go Bristol and down.
Hit me up. I'll tell you the best places to get a cider.
Yes, there was a campaign in town in Bristol, wasn't there? A few
Lost
weeks. Did
City?
you find it? Did you find
No,
it?
I didn't find it.
James Eads. You know James Eads, photographer.
Yes,
Helps
Yeah.
us
I do.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
He lives in Bristol.
Yes.
And he was walking down the canal. Is it canal?
Yes.
And went past it. He messaged us and was like, "Has this got anything to do with your lot?" And I was
Oh,
like, "That's
no
ours." And he was
way.
like, "Oh my god, I didn't actually realise." And I was like, "Taking he was with us at the start." The
Yeah, yeah,
photographer.
yeah,
He still
yeah.
speaks a lot of him. He's like just doing loads of Wales golf stuff, like really
Oh,
Gareth Bale.
He's a lovely guy,
photography. Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
We live really close to the canal if it was in the main centre.
Was he? Yeah, there was one. I didn't know, and it was hard to get older people because
Yeah.
we had our 10 teams around the country doing it.
Yeah, amazing.
TheLostCity.org. I've got to post as much as I can because I tell you what, they've been awesome. The Lost City, we've had it with campaigns. They've raised, I think, in excess of £20,000 already, and within literally 2
Amazing.
weeks, bang, money straight into our bank. Like, get support. And they
Yeah.
literally said, "We've got this because we're making a big hoo-ha about people
Yeah.
need support, and we know people are ringing you straight away. Here's the funds
Yeah.
straight so you can fund this and support it." And I was like,
Amazing.
"Thank you," because we've
That's
had,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah, we shouldn't be losing people in construction to suicide at the rates that we are. It's horrific. And yeah, I think when I saw those, I was really taken when you messaged in the group, 100 Club, Construction Sport 100 Club guys, you should join. Message in the group. And I was like, these are amazing. You messaged the photos. And I did a LinkedIn post and had several people reach out to me saying, this is amazing, Eve. Like, I looked at the website, like, I can't believe it. And I'm like, it's not me, it's Construction Sport. I've just, posted
it
about
wasn't
it.
us. It was on the tool.
Well, it's- yeah.
We were getting so much credit. And if you look at and I tried to every time because I done everybody targeted and kind of the influencer led Instagram world and on the tools and
Yeah.
Facebook where their audience is so big in that world. I kind of sit in this world, and I think that's why the guys on the tools like as well. I sit in this corporate kind of world,
Yeah.
main contracting,
Yeah.
whereas, as you guys will know, and as guys
Yeah.
you guys do as well. Whereas a lot of their audience is kind of the trade side, and people may say it or may not, but construction industry and the trades industry, the builders industry, to me, is two different industries.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally is.
Yeah,
It is,
we
yeah.
don't do any domestic. If people come to us, domestic clients, we say no, it's just too different.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And even from the brand partnerships, and you see that in the Instagram world, and all the
Yeah.
brands, and all the brands are thankfully and gratefully so as well supporting the Lost City campaign. To me, that's kind of like if I was looking out for a supplier or someone to come and support what we do, they wouldn't be my go-to. But
Yeah.
now thinking about it, they probably are very much in there in this world, and the likes of Jewson's, what they do, they obviously supply loads to it. But we wouldn't go on site and think of building materials. Let's go to Jewson's. You don't
Yeah.
think of a specific merchant, do you?
Yeah.
And they've got, I think it's Tool Station, and they obviously support a lot. CT1, SIG, they're all amazing firms doing. But to us, my world has been different. And I stood up at the awards the other week, it was brilliant. And I said that, and I literally said to him, I was like, "Thank you on the tools for accepting me into this world that we're in now. Like, you've brought me into last year, they announced it, and I was like, this is different to me." And I said to everyone there, I was like, my background is like fighting a bit of the bigger fight with the main contractors and how this is supported. And it might sound different, but I promise you now, if I can change the legislation up there, this will roll down across the
100%.
industry. And I say roll down because there is that way of PPE, like PPE rolled down, didn't it? And people on the ground are now in trades worlds and builders world, they will put a mask on when 10 years ago it was on our sites, but not ever. So it's getting that knock-on effect.
Yeah, and just a brilliant, like the visual of understanding how the men that we've lost, I say men, it's women as well, of course, but you know, the fact is we're a very male-dominated industry.
I think the other year when it was like there was a figure of 503 or something, and I think 3 or 4 were women. So it's a very small percentage. But they're in there. But you're right. The men's side is obviously a clear defensive problem.
Exactly, and the basically, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but the campaign was showing the city that could have been built over the last decade if these men had kept their lives and continued to build, basically, and were in the construction industry. And it was really, really, really striking. Do you remember any of the facts and figures of how big the city was?
Oh, the actual size of the city. Now you're stitching it. Cardiff. Yeah, it was Cardiff. The same size as Cardiff.
Same size as Cardiff.
So a city the same size as Cardiff is what could have been built by 7,000 workers.
And it was like several hospitals and schools and apartments and
everything that goes in there. And Lee broke it to me last March. I don't think I'm stitching him up by saying it. No, May, when we went on a road trip. He's like, something's just come in.
Yeah.
And I need to speak to you about it. And he was like, I can't speak to you about it yet. But then 6 hours later, we're still in the van driving to give it. I can tell you about it now. And we got onto a little bit. He's like, this idea with this. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, I think there's something quite big behind it, but it's going to take a bit of time. And obviously it's taken another 5 months and we got it out. But that, I never looked at it as a figure over 10 years. But when you say 7,000, isn't it? And say 7,000 people in general have taken their own lives. It's like, fuck, that's a lot of people. Yeah. We done it. And I will say it again and I'll talk about it again and again and again. But we walked up to speak to Bauer Radio. Ever heard of it?
No.
I'd never heard of it. I just thought it was some moody little radio station, like in the back of Dave's garage down the road, going out to 3 or 4 people in the local hospital. And then literally we clicked on Google just before we've literally gone online. So on air, we're in this little hotel around the corner from Parliament Square. Goes on there. And it's Bauer own every single radio station you can ever think of. Heart, Capital, Kiss, literally, you name a radio, BBC Radio, not BBC Radio, but everything but the BBC stuff. They own all of it. And I was like, shit, this is going out then, isn't it?
Better change my shirt, brush your hair. Oh, yes, it's radio, it's fine.
So they put it out, I was like, fuck. And then Lee's literally hit me with this bang. He showed me this picture, and there was a boy and a girl holding hands looking at a sign. And it was like the most like, well, you don't expect to be hit. And I was just about to speak on the radio, and I looked at it, I went, we've done something here. And that is when I knew the penny dropped, like, this is bigger than these guys might have expected. I thought we were onto something bigger. But the way that I pictured it as my son and daughter, and that's like later on, and then you think just like worst case scenario maybe. And that was kind of like, shit, this is big. Like, where are we going here? And then the guy was like, hi guys, welcome to Bauer Radio, or whatever. I was like, shit. And I didn't know where to go. But it got to a point, I was like, wow, this is bigger than we think. And it was, and you could see off the back of that, the things that were coming. And I think they're on a few press things at the moment, next couple of days to carry on pushing. But now it'll be loud. Let's enjoy Christmas, and come January, we come back stronger with it. And that's why we're partnered up with Band of Builders on that. And I suppose, all the money goes to supporting them and us as well. And we're more than, I can't wait to literally, I'm like, we've got to jump on the back of this thing and push it for us and for them, Band of Builders. When you get that in other charities are a very dangerous world, and people can be competitive and don't like trying each other's patches. But for the bigger picture of things, you can see this Lost City thing and what it's going to be and what it's going to replicate. Well, I've got a meeting in this week actually about an exhibition that we potentially be part of to show it what's interesting and how we can show that.
And affect some real change. It's this keeping the status quo and ticking the boxes. That's not what construction sport are about. Hey,
no, and that's why we've got to just manage our world of where we go, isn't it? And the boys said, I think Will and Alex put a little post out last week, didn't they, about working here for the last year, Will for the last year, and Alex got on it, and it was just like, we don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. Like tomorrow, I'm just waiting for the message to come up saying, can you be here this time and be there? The Lost City thing, Lee literally messaged the day after, was like, can you be at Parliament? Can you do that? And I was like, yes, let's go there then. Let's do it.
And how many days over the last, how many years?
What's that?
How many years since you started construction sport?
So technically the charity state is 2021, but the idea was 2016 when the idea of the seed was
There
the
you go.
seed was planted.
And how many days?
And that was this week, 8
There you
years ago.
go.
Yeah, the poster of
No
the
way.
Crossrail walk come up, and that was
Oh yes.
yeah, that
there
was
you go.
that was me. We're onto something here.
I remember you telling me about the Crossrail
Yeah.
walk the first time we spoke. And how many times have you had to show up over the course of that time? Show up on a day where you're like, no one's really listening and nothing's really happening, but I'm going to keep showing up and keep banging the drum.
360 days of those years, maybe 5 days. Someone ago, like when I'll plug it now. The founding members. So when Paul Casey, PDC Scaffolding, Jeff Vincent, Tristan Sharp, Danny Blundell, and Sammy Sharp, alongside Tristan. When those guys said, yeah, we'll support you, I went in there and said, look, can you give us £4,995? Because I thought it sounded cheap. I'd done car sales 10 years ago, and I thought if you just go a £5 under £5,000, it doesn't sound as expensive as £4,995. So when I was like, we've got a project for the whole of next year. Would you be able to fund us this money? And I think we can get moving. And but all 4 of them said yes. And I was like, if them 4 say yes at this stage, and now looking back, I don't think I've asked that amount of money from many people since, actually. I should. I was like, if they say yes to this, there's something in this. And knowing what I know about life, it's just a numbers game. If those 4 said yes, more will say yes.
Yeah.
I just need to find a way of getting more to say yes. And I've been really reluctant to push that hard with that since, because I'm still in this position of let's get ourselves really looking prim and proper and show, because I'm almost in a position where I'm like, we will make this look huge. This was going to become huge. I'm not going to be able to handle it. So I don't want to push too hard and getting stuff, and people expect too much of us. We've had a couple of members come in and drop out this year because they're not getting enough from it. And I'm like, please understand and see where I'm coming from. But the people who know what I'm under are what they're. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
Yeah. There's something in it that you get just from, if you really back the cause and you really care about mental health in construction, you really care about suicide in construction, just being connected with your mission feels good, because it's, I know what you're doing. I can see what you're doing. I can see the conversations that are being had. I can see where you're having them. And so I just feel keen and excited to support that. But the bonuses get to do really cool stuff. I've been on BBC Six.
Yes.
We did a panel together.
Yes.
I'm on your podcast today.
Yep.
Done some really cool walks, met amazing people through construction sport.
Yeah.
Made friends.
Yep.
Other construction people, like-minded. So I feel that there's I don't feel like I needed to get something from it.
And that's kind of what we think, especially with the 100 Club. But with £100, I'm going to plug it as much as we can now. But the 100 Club is literally, it's £100 a month. People are like, well, what do we get? I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. But I guarantee you'll get 100.
You get to be friends with me, okay?
Yeah. You're going to get £100 worth of entertainment.
Whatever we're doing, you can come in.
There's going to be a lot of entertainment. But then like Red Construction are now members of it. They're like, what we're going to get? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I did get. I said, I got you on BBC One.
Yeah.
For literally an 8 o'clock on a prime time show, and you were with that. Was that enough? They were like, yeah, that's enough. We'll become members.
Yeah.
So they become. I'm like, brilliant. And even PDC Scaffolding, the scaffold documentary, that BBC one, they're like, we need some rough people in the industry. I was like, I've got scaffolders, it'll be fine. Bang. I was like, I can't promise you what we're going to get, but I promise you there's going to be opportunities along the way for all of us. And even the guys, the rugby, we had 150 there of us just recently. And I was like, guys, and we had an incredible day. I was like, I guaranteed you would play rugby. I didn't guarantee you the day would be as good as that. And it was fucking brilliant. It was so good at football. The walks are amazing.
The walks are my favourite.
I think the walks are like our DNA. I think that is like the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where the idea started.
I feel like they are, because I think naturally you start walking. I think I said after the last one, like, I thought that I was just here to, I support construction sport. I support mental health in construction. And then actually by the end of it, I was like, oh, I needed this walk. I needed to chat to other people and say, this is what's been happening. I feel a bit disillusioned. This is how hard I've been finding it sometimes in construction. And just actually able to share that stuff and be like, have a good walk, get a bit of exercise into you, share with your mates.
Jeff Vincent echoed exactly what you said. He's like, literally, it was like some of his best informative conversations come on the walks.
Yeah.
I didn't actually realise what was.
He's talking about his conversations with me.
Yeah, 100%. Just
had some great combos with Jeff.
Just walk on your own, guys. Have your own walk. Rickie's concerned now. But yeah, Tom Pearson you brought along.
Yep.
Didn't you?
Yep.
He's bringing me a coffee tomorrow.
Oh, no way.
He's in the area, in the city. And he said, you're in the city, because the poster put up, whatever, it's in London.
Oh,
so,
nice.
And I said, yeah, if you come past Liverpool Street, let me know. So he said, I'll drop a coffee into tomorrow.
Lovely.
So then you brought him to the equation. And then he said, it's cool. He said, I'll catch up with you. Should have a coffee and we have a quick catch up. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the best thing. I'm working literally, the best job ever actually. I'm working right at Liverpool Street. And I literally saying to people like, just if you're coming past, just quickly pop us. It's only a small area, the highways job really on the road. Like with Harris fencing, I can
Yeah.
take a coffee off anybody to please, and I'll stand at the fence and watch the boys dig all day
So
long.
if you don't have £100 a month to join 100 Club,
Yeah.
just bring it.
Just bring
but
the
you want to be
coffee.
involved somehow.
Yeah.
Just be handing a
Coffee, bacon roll.
coffee
Ideally,
of the Harris
yeah,
fence.
ideally 10 o'clock because that's our break time.
Yeah,
Bring
nice.
it in, yeah. And then, but no, guys, it's thank you for from the bottom of my heart. There's not many people support us from day one, and the first conversation we had, and like I say, you guys you're right up there with on the founding members, the part of the DNA, should we say? And you bring in our international vibes to it. Now,
Yeah,
from the
international
worldwide.
vibes. Bring a bit of class.
I'm going to talk to you a second off the camera as well. We've
Yeah.
got an idea for our worldwide campaign next year.
Sounds
because we
amazing.
need to find ways that we need to be flown to Australia, New
Cool.
Zealand, and taken there with the family. No, but there's a bit more to it.
Amazing.
A huge thank you to both. One on the charity side for backing me from day one.
Yeah.
That first conversation when I was coming past on the A1 into London.
And I was pacing my flat. Super
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. And huge, and Rickie as well, with everything you've done for us as well. And it's been both of you, tender trainers, really, for helping us on the groundwork side. You've opened up huge opportunities for us with the knowledge you've empowered us and
Amazing.
supported us with as well. That's the thing. You're not just giving us information to run with it. Like, we're here, and there's me going, I need you, please don't go far. I'm only as good as the phone book I have, basically. But thank you, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Over to the Hard
Thank
Hat
you.
Heroines.
Amazing.
Plug
And,
in, engage, tender trainers, Hard Hat Heroines. Where can we
100%.
find you on that one?
LinkedIn for Eve Lameks on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I'm always on LinkedIn, so that's a good one. The tendertrainers.co.uk is our website. YouTube, we've got 65 videos on there teaching you how to tender. So check out our YouTube, the Tender Trainers.
Superb. We'll plug it all into the
Yeah,
description.
amazing. And then, Hard Hat
Rickie
Heroines.
Lameks on LinkedIn.
Rickie Lameks.
Rickie Lameks on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks, Steve. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep
Yeah,
fighting the
definitely.
good fight.
Carry on. Smash it up. Bring on
Amazing.
2025.
That's it.
This will go out in 2024, won't it?
Maybe.
Took a long
it's
time
just-
to think about
No,
that.
he's just there sitting over there bored.
Depends on the schedule we've got.
He does nothing. He just sits there going, he's probably playing Mastermind or Pokemon, is it today? No. And he can't defend himself there either.
I've got no mic.
He's got no mic, so no one hears him. He just sits there crying in the corner.
We don't do mental health in this office. That's what Steve said to me.
We go out there. We go out there and we support mental health. We don't bring it
We
home
don't
with
practice
us.
what we preach at all. Bullying.
We unload it in here.
Constant.
I just wanted to bully someone today, so I went back to the office. But it comes to all three of them. All three of us, sorry. We all get abused
Yeah.
verbally.
I've just never, ever seen Alex or Will abuse you.
It's because-
But
yeah,
I'll
I
just
know.
take your word for it.
Don't think. Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. Remember what goes on behind closed doors. I'm a victim.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Steve.
Safe
Thank you.
Thanks,
travels.
Alex.
Cheers.
All right,
Bon
ciao.
voyage.
Merci.